Joe Rogan is a profoundly dumb, gullible, unserious man. He's also not funny. He's also not funny. He and the neckbeards are out in force. Joe Rogan said that 150 million people watched Donald Trump's UFC fights Sunday night. Initially, that might have been possible because initially those fights were going to be aired on CBS. They were going to be broadcast for free for people to watch. The Ellisons own CBS. UFC has a partnership with CBS. Then the Ellisons decided to move the UFC fights behind their paywall of Paramount Plus. Joe Rogan said 150 million people watched the fight, and he's telling everybody who criticizes that number or who criticized the fights themselves to shut up. 150 million viewers. Paramount Plus has 70 million subscribers. That's more than double the audience that Joe Rogan and the neckbeards are saying watch the fight. It's not physically possible for 150 million people to have watched fights on a subscription service that has 70 million subscribers. And the neckbeards are out in force on TikTok saying that Trump's UFC fights got more viewers than the Super Bowl, which is broadcast for free. Again, not physically possible. There were 7 million people who watched Trump's UFC fights. 7 million total, not 150 million. But that differential, that multiplier, it did remind me Barack Obama released $1.7 billion to Iran in 2015. Donald Trump has released 100 billion of Iranian assets to Iran and is guaranteeing another 300 billion for their reconstruction fund. 1.7, 400. 7, 150. Trump, Joe Rogan, and MAGA have significantly serious problems when it comes to math. There were multiple other sporting events that were broadcast for free this past Sunday that had dramatically larger audiences than Donald Trump's white trash UFC fights. There were World Cup soccer games being broadcast for free all around the globe. Every single one of those games that was broadcast had a larger audience by multiples than the audience who watched Donald Trump's white trash festival on the White House lawn. I was thinking earlier this morning, I was like, I should do a long video and do a little bit of research beforehand, but I'll just kind of mention the tagline here. Where we are as a country, the United States in June of 2026, we would not have gotten here without an unimaginably large number of dumb people and decades of right-wing propaganda. And Joe Rogan is just the personification of that. Somebody who is profoundly dumb and gullible and has an audience of 10 or 12 million other profoundly dumb and gullible people, men in the United States. Profoundly dumb and gullible and confident in their dumbness and gullibility. It's the Dunning-Krugerification of an entire nation and half of our media landscape. Paramount Plus only has 70 million subscribers. It is not physically possible for those fights to have had an audience of $150 million or 150 million people. It's not physically possible. And those are exactly the kinds of facts that Joe Rogan and Trump supporters are completely impervious to. Completely impervious. They have no traction They have no impact whatsoever with these people. It's kind of amazing in a very, very, very bad way.